Hope. I once saw an old man sleeping in the alley with a smile on his face. And although he was homeless, you could tell that he felt safe. And as I walked past him, he woke up. He woke up with a big old grin. He said, "Good morning, mister." He said, "Good morning, my friend." He said, "God has blessed us with another fine day. God has done it again." And I smiled and responded, "Oh, yes, he did." And I proceeded to go on my way. But after a while, I stopped what I was doing and took a moment to reflect on the day. And as I thought about all the stuff that happens and the things that go on, I realized that hope was still involved. And I could look forward to new beginnings. And the reason for that hope was because of God. Who else gets you up in the morning and drives the rising sun? Who gives you strength when you think that your life is done? And who else just owns it? When asked if he's the one. There's hope in my life, my friend. Just pray and do your part. Pray and ask Jesus to strengthen your spirit and to strengthen your heart. And don't wait for a special moment to pray. Just start. That day a homeless man taught me that there's hope in this world, and that I could always feel safe, because God is watching over me, so I can sleep with a smile on my face. Hope. In the zone. Every day I remind myself to stay focused, to pay attention to the things that's happening around me, to remind myself of where I've been as I prepare for where I'm trying to be. I pray for guidance and vision, and I ask God. I ask God to help me see. And it's comforting to know that on this journey that I'm not alone. Even when it feels like I'm on my own, I know to stay focused on the Lord. I know to stay in the zone. And I pray that when things happen to me, that somehow they're for the best. I pray that when I'm challenged, that I can pass the test. I know that with the Lord's help and guidance, He can make good out of any mess. And I know that He wants me not to worry. I know that He wants me to be able to rest. My ups and downs are on purpose when I'm rolling with the Lord. Even when things seem bad, I know that He's on board. I know that with Him, that even in those times, a blessing is stored. And even though Satan is busy, it seems that he won't leave me alone. The Lord is near and will help me from doing something wrong. I just need to listen, trust and believe. I need to stay in the zone. To trust and believe. Until it's time for me to go home. To trust and believe. And listen to those angel songs. Where I can hear their voices singing. Stay in the zone. Stay in the zone. Where I can hear them voices singing. Hey, the Father's with you, and He won't leave you alone. And as I go through life, somehow I feel new. Because with the Lord's love and guidance, He's helped me get through. And here's what I know, my dear friend. He would do the same thing for you too. Remember that regardless of your situation, the Lord our God loves you. So always pray, stay focused, and stay in the zone. In the zone. My imperfection. My imperfection makes me perfect. For this journey I'm determined to go. It will enable me to move with uniqueness that only God and I will know. People will say, hey man, how did you do that? And I will smile and look to the heavens, 'cause I know I'm on track. My imperfection allows me to see this world at its ugly best. It will help me to realize that this whole thing is a mess. And just so I won't conform to this reckless world's plan, my imperfection allows me to see that I'm only just a man. Though I'm a little different, because the Lord has helped me to see that with Him I'm bigger and better than the world will allow me to be. Because this is my relationship with God that truly is the key. This perfect world that we live in won't forgive me or even hold my hand. It judges me, taunts me, and takes me to places I can't stand. While the Lord smiles and comforts me, saying, my child, just do the best that you can. Imperfect to a world that thinks that hurt and pain are the norm. Unable to see itself crumbling under the weight of every storm. Uniting with principalities that mean them no good, who prefer to dwell in the darkness and hide in the woods. My imperfection is obvious. It seems that I don't fit in because I've chosen the path of righteousness instead of the path of sin. And because of the Lord's grace, my imperfection is perfect. And in the end, my brother, God wins. My imperfection. Mirror talk. I've been talking to myself lately because the world seems to be doing its own thing. I've been talking to myself. It seems that the world has forgotten that there's a king. I've been talking to myself because it seems that people ain't trying to hear what I gotta say. And when I talk to myself, I say, dang, this is starting to happen to me every day. But when I talk to myself, I tell myself to keep holding on. I pray and ask the Father to please, please don't leave me alone. I talk to myself and ask, Father, when you gonna be coming home? It's funny how talking to myself makes me feel better and somehow makes sense. Listening to myself without having to put up any kind of defense. And if not for anything, it reminds me of one important thing, that no matter what the world says, there's most certainly a king. Mirror talk. In too deep. I found myself in a fight that I wasn't looking for. Every day it seemed like the enemy was knocking at my door, bearing gifts that were enticing and would leave me wanting more and more. And I was stupid to think that God wasn't listening. I was stupid to think that God wasn't aware. And somehow I convinced myself that God just didn't care. I didn't remember his promise that he said that he would always be there. I let myself get caught up. I was lost and confused, trying to hold things together to keep from being used, thinking that I could just move forward, when in reality, I was stuck on cruise. But the enemy would continue to bring me gifts of sin, and I didn't realize that it was my mind and soul that he was trying to win. And after a while, my friend, I began to feel beat. I even began to feel reluctant to ask God for my soul to keep, feeling awkward and ashamed. I was in too deep. But through prayer, I held on to my very last string. And I looked to the heavens and I called out to the King. I cried, help me, Father. And I began to sing. And then with faith, waiting for God to do his thing. Because somehow the enemy had found his way into my mind and soul. And those gifts of sin were beginning to take its toll. I could feel my light dimming and my heart growing cold. But the Lord hearkened to me from the depths where my spirit lies. saying, "Have faith, my child. I know you have tried. Pay attention to the laughter of love and know that I've heard your cries. Ask for forgiveness and know that I'm alive in too deep." Smell the roses.
Tell me you love me. Tell me I'm crazy for thinking it's over now. Tell me we're perfect. Tell me we're worth it. All the heartache you're bringing down. Oh, tell me.
Slow down, my brother. You're moving too fast. Take a minute, step back, and let this moment last. Let it go, my brother. Let go of the past. Savor the moment and enjoy feeling new. Know that God, our Father, is watching over you so that you can find your God-given talents and go do what you do. Stop and smell the roses. Someone said, enjoy some of this life. Let your spirit be alive and not dead. Now maybe you thinking, man, how could I do that? Things in my life are crazy, and my life is way off track. Okay, cool. That question is fair. And my answer to you is first to believe and have faith and know that He cares. To trust and believe and to be aware that although the enemy is busy, our Lord is always there. And there, you'll find joy. So slow down, my brother, and just take life in. Know that it ain't over, because you might have sinned. Pray and ask for forgiveness, and let your new life begin. It is the roses, my friend, that you should stop and smell. One of the beautiful reasons to live a life of purpose rather than living it in hell. know of Jesus and a reason to tell that he is alive and all is well. Stop and smell the roses. Sunrise. So you got up early this morning. What you gonna do? And let's be clear about this question, my friend. The answer of nothing is not an option. This is a glorious day and you've got places to go and people to see. And above all, you have so many people to pray for and show love. When the sun comes up in the morning, it is heavenly proof that there is indeed a bright side to things. You should approach this day with confidence because the Lord our God is lighting the way. On this morning, on this day, the only thing that's standing between you and stopping you from being successful is you. You woke up this morning and you could breathe the air that God had provided. And the rising sun has slowly turned your darkness into light. He has already done his part. So take a moment to pray and thank him for this day. And when praying, ask him to bless you with a strong, strong spirit. A strong and faithful spirit will enable you to move mountains and will help you to face whatever challenges you come across. Your strength is in your relationship with the Father, who wakes you up in the morning and lights the way. So remember one thing, my friend. All you have to do is pray. Watch the sunrise. On the other side. I remember the day when my mother passed away. And my soul and spirit felt that it too had died. I thought, how could this be happening? This is impossible. My instinct was to want to go somewhere and hide. But I went and spoke to my pastor about this uncomfortable grief. And he advised me to pray and said that he would pray too. He said, pray, my friend, and keep praying. God would know just what to do. He said, the Lord our Father will help you. So I took that advice to heart, and I thought, prayer is where I'll start, and I'll do so in bended knee. I will pray for strength and courage, and I pray for comfort. And this time, I'll pray for me. Now, it took me a minute to get myself together. And there were times I didn't think that God was listening. I even began to question my prayer, wondering if there was something that I had been missing. But I kept on praying, and I soon stopped questioning why my mother had died. And I continued to pray, and I soon stopped having that strange desire to hide. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and months soon turned into years. I soon realized that through prayer, God had taken away all my fears. I reflected on the time that I thought that I couldn't make it through this pain. And I remembered how back then I just cried and cried. I also remember the moment that I asked God for help, and He did. And now I find myself on the other side. The other side of pain, the other side of grief, the other side of anger and sheer disbelief. What I thought was the worst moment in my life, through prayer, God our Father brought me peace. I'll see you on the other side. Safe house, the wilderness. At times I must admit that in this world I've had enough of trying to do the right thing. Sometimes that road gets real rough. I get down on myself and I start examining my faults. And worse than that, I begin to examine my thoughts. Depression is looming. I could feel it coming. My emotions get shaky, and then I start running. But in the midst of all the confusion, I remember to pray. I ask God to help me, to please come save the day. I said, God, what's happening? I've tried to do my best. Where are you, my Lord, while I'm going through this mess? And before I could finish complaining, before I could say the rest, He answered me in spirit and said, go to your wilderness. Go to a place where you could be still, quiet, and listen to me. Find somewhere safe, somewhere you can be free. Many have come before you with the same unrest. They come before you because their whole world was a mess. With me, you'll find love, wisdom, knowledge, peace, and rest. It's time, my child, to go to your wilderness. John has been here. Paul and Jesus too. With big hearts asking, God, what do I do? Rest, my child. That is what's required. Pray and be replenished. And let me help you be inspired. Repair and polish your armor and sharpen your sword. Because when you return to the world, honor will be your reward. In the wilderness, my child, you will always find me. When the world becomes overwhelming, this is where I will be. And when you go back to address those issues you have, you'll soon be able to see that you can deal with those worldly problems because you spent quality time with me. So always remember that your wilderness is where I'll be. And when you are in need of love and strength and encouragement, there you will find me. Safe House, the wilderness. Feeling you. So you're drinking gin, cause it ain't no sin. But why not cognac instead? They both can make you drunk, they both can make you sick, and they both can mess with your head. And speaking of sick, my brother, when you're throwing up, do you sometimes wish you was dead? I feel you. When your best friend calls and say, hey man, I got some weed, do you drop everything you're doing and just go? Forgetting that you got a lot of things to do today and acting like you didn't know. Risking the chance of your mom or your wife seeing you and say, see, I told you so. But when I ask you, will you care what they think, my brother? Your standing answer is hell no. I feel you. Hey, I feel you. In your quiet time, do you break out in line and get yourself a little bump? And do you get mad at yourself when you're blowing all your money and now you're feeling like a real chump? But I can hear you saying, I'll worry about that later. And just so you know this up front, what's important to me is what's on that plate. And right now, I need another bump. Strangely enough, my brother, I feel you. But you should know that God knows that your flesh is weak. And sooner or later, you'll hear him when he speaks. Because he ain't got nothing but love for you. And although you think your life is private and is secret, he knows exactly what you do. And while you're drinking, snorting the coke and smoking a little weed, He knows there's still potential and you can prosper and succeed. And although you're reluctant to take the blame and you're quick to point the finger at them, he watches and waits for you to get your fill before you realize that you can get high on him. Because believe it or not, my brother, he feels you, feeling you.